I think we'll give you a go on your own.
Yeah.
Because I think you hopefully know what you're on about.
Yeah, that's the question. Does he know what he's doing? I mean, are we going? Yeah, great. I mean, the work that it is this stuff, and it kind of just came out of working at the uni, and there was just loads of plywood lying around and no students in. So I just started cutting wood up just to maintain the saws, and then I got obsessed with cutting plywood as thin as I could. And then once I'd done that, it was like, well, what do you do with it then? So I glued it back together, but not the normal way. Oh, fuck. So I can't remember which is the top and which is the bottom. So then I started getting really interested in the process of sort of doing repetitive stuff. And then I started seeing patterns in them from like where the saw cuts into the wood. If the saw's got a bit too much sort of wood on the blade, sort of burnt wood, then it starts leaving marks on the plywood as you're cutting it. So then they became reference points to sort of make shapes from. As I was interested in architecture, so I was trying to find architectural shapes and then geometric shapes. I thought it'd be better if there was some sort of paint on them. And I started getting really interested in using paint as a tool more than as paint, so treating it more sculpturally. So you've got like a balance between this geometric masked off area that references architecture and then this painted surface. It's just working with the paint on the wood with a ruler until I kind of feel like it's finished. I'm trying to reduce my effect on the work as much as possible and let it be about the process, the materials, and what those processes just create.
Cool. So is it deconstruction or is it examining structure? Do you think
It's both really. I've thought about that one a lot. Like it used to be a lot about making things. Possibly 10 years ago, it was a lot about putting things together and building things. And then I kind of realized that what I'd been doing a lot is taking things apart, putting them back together. It's pulling the wood apart, and putting the wood back together in a different way. It's pulling the paint apart, putting the paint back together in a different way, and then it's taking those two things and putting them together again. I mean, even the fact that I call them sculptures is kind of taking apart what is a sculpture, what is a painting, and just putting it back together in a way that I want to put it together. Like I used to do it with toys. I used to rip the arms off and the legs off and the heads off, like Transformers, and like see how they were put together. And at the age of like 8, you can't really put them back together. But now, at the age of 28, I'm a little bit better at putting things back together. I've not tried it with Transformers, but yeah, it's that pulling things apart, see how they went together, and knowing that that's how they work, or that's one way in which they work. And then once you've pulled it apart, you know that if you put it back together that way, it works. Will it work if you put it back together another way? With those, it's a lot. I think it's a lot more about subtlety. It's because this is larger and you won't be as close to it. I think if I'd have come back, I'd have done what I do with them, and I'd have just fucked it up because it's too big to have loads of little details in, if you know what I mean. There we go. It needs to be a process where I'm presented with sort of a question, and then I just have to keep wiping away until the question feels like a more palatable question for me.
Why is it a question? I mean, is it actually like, is there something in your head that makes it feel like a question? I guess talk about that.
Yeah, I suppose it's, in a way, when you look at the blank sort of plywood, there's all these things that have to be decided as to whether they're going to make it into the area that's masked off. Once you've kind of tried to wrangle with that and you don't know whether it's the right answer or not, you're kind of already into that debate. So this poses a question to me, and then I try to give the best answer I can. It's more about a discussion than it is an answer. Like, I find my own answers in doing it, but those answers don't really pertain to anybody else. Yeah, it's good. I don't like that green. The colour. It's what it's moving is all right, but the actual colour of it, I thought it'd be a little bit darker. Well, not darker, lighter, I guess. I expected it to be that, and it's that. Because a lot of the time with the painted space, there isn't really a space, but if you look long enough, because of the geometric space, you start to see things in there. Like, I've had people get really in close and sort of pick out little pieces and go, look, there's like 3 characters there. There's 3 people walking along a country lane or something. Which is what it's about. It's about that visual process and that thought process, sort of bringing those things to the front and understanding how you structure the world around you, really. Which is the thing that runs through all of the work, is how I structure the world and how I make my own structures, and then how those structures interact with people. I always think I should take a picture of where the tape is before I start putting the paint on. I never do it. And I always forget where I put the frigging tape. I don't know, I get lost. But I think that's another part of it as well, like being lost and being fine with that. I don't feel like you always need to know what's going on. You can just kind of go with it and let it happen, and then answers present themselves. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, that's it. That's all of it. Now it has to dry. It has to be clean. That's good, I like it. Pulled all the best bits off, though. Always happens. Like, there'll be like a bit that I'm really, really enjoying, and I'm going, yeah, I look good, and that's peeled, and then there's like some geometric thing around it, and then.
How much do you think this is your process, or how much do you think it's the creative process in general?
In terms of being obsessed with process, I think a lot of creative people across all creative outputs do that. Because I think really creativity's gone past the point of trying to imitate. Like an oil painting, look how well I can paint a picture of a flower and have it look like that flower, is great. You've painted a really good picture of a flower, but to me it doesn't really say much more. Whereas I agree, there's a lot less skill in the way that I'm painting, but I feel like it has the scope to do more. It's like if you think of it in terms of a conversation, like if somebody asks you a question or says, or starts explaining something to you and you already know it, if you go, yeah, I know that, then the conversation dies. Whereas if you paint something that's completely abstract and have a sort of structure to it, then I feel like everybody can engage with that. Everybody can take something from it, and everybody can have their own part of that conversation. The fun bit out of the way. Oh, did you hear that then? Back.
Is it a thing where if you actually figure out how to do it, then where would you be?
But if I made these and then every time I just go, well, I just pass that off and I paint that, I'd come up with something else that made it hard for me to figure out what to do. Or I'll just go and do other aspects of my work for a bit until I've forgotten how to do it. Cheers, man.
Yeah.
Dude. Couple of good old boys out there. I mean, the concept of the work is about people to approach it as you would anything else in the world, and you just have to kind of figure it out yourself and figure out what it means to you or how it works with you or against you. Like, you know, is it a push door or a pull door? You've got to figure that out.
Hey. Ooh.
Yep. That's it.
That's it?
That's it. It's like a clown that's been hit by a car. It's good, that. It's good to do one quick as well.
How's the process been of doing the filming?
Interesting. Like, I kind of knew that I'd think about it differently. I was a little bit worried that I'd fuck it up. Like, I'd just, I'd be thinking too much about what it looked like I was doing rather than just doing it. But I think because we'd done a session before and we've talked about it for so long, and I knew that it was going to happen. We did the talk, and I just sat down and I knew what it felt like to kind of have the camera in the room and a view in the room sort of around. I think it was a good idea to kind of have me talk it all through before I actually got into it, because I think if I'd have just gone into it, I'd have been thinking too much about standing where you're standing, looking at me doing it, and I wouldn't be concentrating on what I was actually doing, and it just looked like a massive mess, whereas it only looks like a little bit of a mess.
So is it better if they do know or don't know what your mental process was?
I don't know. Like, I don't like writing statements. I don't like telling people. I don't feel like people need to know right from the get-go what my intent behind stuff was. Because a lot of the time it isn't really intent, it's just a question. And I much prefer seeing people go up to work, my work or any work, and just use their own thought processes and their own experiences to kind of come up with what it means for them, because that's just as valid as why I did it. Hi, Steph.
Cool. I think we've
Yeah?
yeah, we've got some stuff there.
And I'm also going to say to you right now, I have instantly forgotten everything I said.
Yeah. Well, you'll see it back at some point.
Oh yeah. Did I say that? God.